Check, check, check. One, two, three, four. How's it sounding, Creed? Good deal. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check.
beautiful day outside, ladies and gentlemen, and a beautiful place to have this lovely event. Carter, we four, three, two, one. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dave Crouch, and this is Policy Talks, brought to you every month by well, not every month, but a lot of months, by the Williamson Inc., our Chamber of Commerce here in Williamson County. And we're back after a couple of months of recess, and we'll see if we can get back in the groove smoothly. We might have a hiccup here and there, but just glad to have a bright-eyed crowd here at Williamson's Columbia State, not Williamson State. See, I told you. And we're just glad to have this beautiful venue to conduct these in. It's a great campus. And if you haven't been here and you're listening on WAKM or watching us on YouTube TV, then you need to come and see it, because it's quite an asset to Williamson County, and we love the opportunity to be here. We welcome our live TV audience on WCTV, our radios audience is coming to us from Tom Lawrence over at WAKM, and just looking forward to meeting the folks from Spring Hill. We've got a new hello. We had a big sneeze back there. I don't know what that was about. But we've got a new regime in place in Spring Hill. Had some elections back in April. Got a new mayor. Got a re-election of an alderman, and got a brand new city administrator there, and a very experienced assistant city administrator that's still in place. Matt Fitterer, you are the new mayor, elected in the April election, I believe it is. Been an alderman for a while prior to that, I think.
Yeah, that's correct. I was an alderman for 10 years, and then they told me to slide over a couple of seats and sit in the middle. So,
get to referee now. Tell us about your family. I'd just like to know personally who you are a little bit too.
yeah, so my wife and I have three, most of the time, fantastic children. We just started first grade, kindergarten, and you know, our boy's 2.5. He'll be 3 here in a couple of months. So they're a lively crew, keep us busy, and you know, anybody with young children knows they're tons and tons of fun and tons of work at the same time.
Yeah, you're going to be busier and busier and busier for lots of reasons. You've got a day job. What's the salary for the mayor's position?
I make $900 a month, so whatever that works out to.
So you're going to keep your day job.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my day job. Yeah, so we won't get very far in Williamson County on $900 a month.
Work for Sarah Cannon Research Institute.
Sarah Cannon Research Institute. Been there several years now. Work part of their strategy team. Sarah Cannon's very focused at getting clinical cancer trials out into community oncology settings. We want to go meet patients where they are, where they live. Don't want to force patients to go travel to academic medical centers to participate in cutting-edge cancer treatments. So I primarily focus my time on trying to grow the network opportunities and reach more patients in community-based settings.
Where's Northern Arizona University?
It's in Flagstaff, Arizona, God's country. So, yeah.
Careful now.
Yeah, no, I grew up in Northern Arizona, very rural part of the state. Literally grew up on the end of a dirt road. Went to college in Flagstaff. You know, and then kind of one educational opportunity, career opportunity. The next put me in Spring Hill. So
have you with us? And
Trent's been in Williamson County a little longer than me, though. So yeah.
Trent Linville, been an alderman. Is this your second term now?
Just starting my second term. I was elected back in 2021 originally.
BGA grad here in Franklin?
Yep. Franklin, I born and raised. Yep.
Went to UT, so you passed the test of a lot of these folks.
Absolutely. We're ready for next Saturday. Yeah.
And went to law school at Belmont, I think.
Did. Yep.
Got a law practice here in Franklin, and it's primarily estate law, is that right?
Yeah, we do estate planning and elder law.
Okay, so, apparently a pretty decent alderman from what I hear. Dan Allen, been with the city for a little over 6 years, I think. Is that right?
On which tenure you count, but yeah.
And went to school in Terre Haute?
Terre Haute, Indiana. It's, for those of you who don't know what that is, that's one of Capone's old booze running towns. So
Good.
poor area in the downtown part that's got this really nice ornate historic theater and hotel, and the rest is just, normal Indiana. But
We can't hear you very well, so get a little closer to that mic. But
there's this really ornate historic area, theater and hotel and things like that Capone built for all of his guys. It was his big warehouse distribution area. So there's this really cool area downtown. Everything else just looks like normal Indiana. It's flat and there's corn.
tell us about Rosie the elephant.
Rosie the elephant, yeah. So, of all the mascots that an engineering school could pick, Rose Holman decided to pick an elephant. So, we are the fighting engineers, and our mascot is an elephant, apparently because it's big and we can go run people over.
Thought that was interesting. And Matt, I'm going to let you introduce your new city administrator.
Yeah, so last October, our city administrator decided to retire. We kind of knew the election was coming up in April, and thought it was a good idea to wait till the other side of the election before we hired an administrator, because an administrator would kind of like to know who the bosses are before they agree to sign up. And we partnered with a executive consulting group to run a nationwide search, brought us back a lot of candidates, including Carter Napier here. Carter spent most of his career out in Wyoming, most recently in Casper, Wyoming. I didn't know a lot about Casper, Wyoming until maybe 3-4 months ago, but the more we looked at it, it was a lot like Spring Hill, and a lot of the challenges Carter has already navigated and solved out in Casper are some of the same things that we need to solve for in the next 5 years. And I think Carter had some family ties that were pulling him back to Middle Tennessee, and things worked out great for us. I mean, we got a candidate who's got a lot of experience in the areas we need experience, and he gets to be closer to family. And 2 days in, it's going pretty good so far. So,
So what specific experience is it, Carter, that you're bringing here that you think you might be able to help Spring Hill with, that you've had success at? Let me throw that in too.
You bet. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that warm introduction. Good morning, everybody. It's good to be with you today. With respect to growth, with respect to infrastructure development, public safety expansion, and those kinds of things, I think resonated with regard to some of the issues that Spring Hill is facing right now. And so those are the kinds of things that over my 28 years of being in the city management business, I bring with me, I think. And so I'm looking forward to trying to help out.
Matt, I was impressed with a quote that was credited to you. I presume it's accurate. In one of the local papers. But you said the challenges facing Spring Hill cannot be solved alone, but require a collective wisdom, effort, and commitment of everybody on this board, our city staff, regional state partners, and most importantly, the citizens we serve as well. We must be action-oriented. Thoughtful deliberation is essential, but our citizens also expect and deserve a government that moves decisively to address the community's needs. I thought that was pretty good. Now, tell me why you said that specifically, and is that a change?
the change, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of been my philosophy the past, several years as alderman and now mayor that, all the easy problems in Spring Hill are solved. Those are done and out of the way, and it's the big complex problems that are left. And I don't think there's a single municipal government entity in Middle Tennessee that can solve all those on their own. I mean, it takes partnership with other municipalities. It takes partnerships with the counties. You know, in Spring Hill, we're both blessed and cursed to have 2 counties to partner with, and you know, the state and the various state agencies as well, and then certainly private partners. You know, we can talk about some things here this morning that, you know, it's really leveraging relationships with private development and private partners that have helped accelerate things. And you know, you don't want government to be reckless and make decisions that negatively impact lives quickly, but we also can't sit and deliberate on an issue for 6 months. We've got to get things done. And that's true about every city in Middle Tennessee. Every city in Middle Tennessee has needs, and people want to see results. We're a results-oriented business, and it's time to go. You know, we're not going to have analysis by paralysis in Spring Hill.
I think that's a problem in a lot of municipalities, is just getting things done because people can't make decisions. So I thought that was a apropos statement
Yeah, I
to
think
make.
a lot of times, you know, people got their priorities and you know, maybe their list of top 10 things, and they want to take care of the number 1 thing and then the number 2 thing. And you know, my attitude's a little bit different. As long as it's on the list, let's do it. You know, who cares if it's not the top thing?
Well, you've got a PowerPoint that's maybe got your top 10 on it, so
Well,
why don't we
you know,
move into
10
that?
things that I don't even know if it's 10 things. There's a couple things that we
I didn't
thought
count them.
was worth talking about. And, you know, we recently gave a State of the City address that, you know, kind of covered this and some other things that are happening in Spring Hill. And so we thought we'd share some of the highlights here this morning as well. I always like to start off by letting people know that, you know, we really view our budget in Spring Hill as a statement of priorities and not just a financial planning document. And 75% of our budget this year is going towards public safety, roads, and utilities. And those are 3 things that we think most citizens can generally rally behind or as good investments. And so starting off with some of the recent public safety activity we've had. Back in May, we opened our first ever dedicated police department headquarters. Police department was previously in a rented building that was not designed or constructed for law enforcement, and actually in 2 separate spaces. So we've got everybody under 1 roof now. I forget the square footage of the building, 60,000 feet, something like that. It's more than we need, so we've got space to grow out in this space for several decades to come. And very, very happy with how this project turned out. And, you know, this is an example of those public-private partnerships. The city did not purchase the land this station's built on. It was donated to us by a developer. You know, they were coming through with a rezone application and wanted to do something that was positive for the community. And, you know, location-wise, it worked great for police department. And I think it's 5 acres that they ended up giving us. And, again, helped accelerate the project because took costs out of it. Another project we're real excited about is the construction of Fire Station 4. This will be the station that responds to incidents in June Lake and out on I-65 for us as well. It's been a project that's a long time in the making. Back when Rick Graham was mayor is when we actually acquired this land, and you know, the board was very forward thinking at the time that, you know, fire stations are important where they're geographically located because that dictates response time. So, you know, we were fortunate enough to grab some land several years ago that was in the right location, and now we're getting around to building the station. Mitchell Earwood was a firefighter of ours who died in May of 2020, and the station's actually going to be named after him as well. So this is actually going to be the Mitchell Earwood Fire Station number 4. We expect to open it up in November of this year. Trent's going to talk about a couple of the road projects here since he's been very involved the past several years working on these.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So the first, these are a couple of local road projects that we have ongoing. So the first one is the Buckner Lane Widening Project. And so this is our, one of the primary north-south roads here in Spring Hill. And it's being improved in correlation with the June Lake exit. And so we've kind of had to you know, take this off in phases. So the segment, you know, from Thompson Station Road to June Lake was built by private development, part of the June Lake the June Lake system there. So that is completed. That's been open for a while. The second segment that you see there, the north segment, is between June Lake Boulevard, and then it goes down about halfway to a neighborhood called Wades Grove, and runs past Summit High School and Spring Station Middle School. And so that segment is actually finishing up right now. So that's going to bring some pretty significant additional transportation infrastructure to that area where there's a lot of residential there that's trying to get to that June Lake area with some additional traffic signals. And that should be finishing up in the next month or so, where that will be completed. And then you can see that southern segment runs down to Duplex Road, and that construction just got underway on that segment. We project that to be done sometime towards the end of 2026. So that's going to be a really significant project for us in Spring Hill to provide some additional north-south connectivity there. And then kind of to build on the theme of partnership that we've been pushing forward in Spring Hill, we have the Crossings is a significant retail development in Spring Hill, and so there is a project called Legacy Point that's building in that same area, and what they're doing is they're building Crossings Boulevard, which will connect the Crossings to Kedron Road. And the great thing about that is being delivered with fully private dollars. They are building that as part of the development there. And so because we're able to partner with development in Spring Hill, we're bringing a crucial piece of infrastructure to the city that is not being paid for by the taxpayers. And so those are two significant road updates that we've got going on a local level in Spring Hill.
One other thing about this project, Dave, the Spring Hill battle in the Civil War, November 1864, occurred basically on this property and in the northern part of this property. And the developer has got 17 acres where the heaviest fighting is carved out. The American Battlefield Trust was never able to purchase it in the past, and they'll be donating those 17 acres to the American Battlefield Trust. So excited to not only deliver the roadway infrastructure, but some cultural and historical preservation along with it. So it's a fantastic development partner. Spring Hill, 2 weeks ago now, we agreed to a consent order through the Tennessee Department of Environmental Conservation for a sewer connection moratorium. The short story is we've got a plant that you see there on the screen that can treat 5 million gallons of wastewater a day. We send about 4.2 million gallons to it right now. Projects such as Legacy Point, those other projects that are vested and approved are going to consume the remaining capacity. And so, I'll let Dan Allen get into it here in a little bit, but Spring Hill is the one community in Williamson County that's in the Duck River watershed. Dave, I know you know a lot about the Duck River and some of the environmental considerations that are there. And we're not able to discharge additional treated effluent into Rutherford Creek because it rolls down into the Duck. So our ability to expand the plant and our ability to then allow for more economic growth beyond what's already vested is tied to finding a wastewater treatment solution that does not involve a discharge into the Duck River. And that's
Can I
where
ask
Dan...
a hypothetical question?
Sure.
If the Columbia Dam had been built as planned 50 years ago, would there be enough flow in the Duck River to
Carter, you
allow
want to take that?
a little more?
I honestly have no idea. I don't know if you want to try to
Dan,
take a stab at that
tackle
one.
that one, will you?
I have no idea.
Well, it certainly would have helped quite a bit. Unfortunately, I think that that moment of time to potentially do something related to that is past. And so...
We'll have to respectfully disagree on that, but...
dollars being put in the community to help do it.
Yeah. So,
All right.
look, the plant expansion itself is straightforward. The biggest problem is, those pretty green and red buildings there where we need the expanded plant to be. Well, that's where our public works is currently located. So, to get to a sewer plant expansion, we first have to move the public works facility. And again, the largest part of the challenge is, that treated wastewater effluent, what are you going to do with it? Tennessee allows body of water discharge. We can't do. They also allow drip fields. So I know back when Dan Allen was Alderman Dan Allen, we put a couple of pieces of property under contract, looked at the soils, tried to make it work. And ultimately we got to an answer where, number one, this was cost prohibitive. Number two, if we tried to do this in areas where we could reasonably pipe the water, it's also where our economic growth is going to occur. So we'd be eliminating that. So we did land on a proposed pilot solution through an advanced purification project that's really kind of become 98% of Dan's life. So why don't you tell them about this?
So the advanced purification program in Spring Hill really came out of discussions going all the way back to 2018 with the state. We saw on the previous slides, we generally know what to do kind of inside the fence at the sewer plant in terms of expanding and going forward. And we know how to expand to actually double our treatment capacity inside the fence. But the main problem that we've not been able to solve until recently is, what do we do with the extra treated water and where do we put it? Because if we can only put 5 into Rutherford Creek, but we need to expand up to 10 with all the growth that's happening, that means there's another 5 that we have to do something with. And so out of a lot of discussions and meetings with TDEC, we actually went and had a meeting with them. We tossed out, I think, 15 different options of different things that we could do. We talked about alternative sites to build second treatment plants, doing distributed systems, the land application-based system that Mayor Fitterer referenced. We had put numbers together on that. We were looking at well over, I think, $80 million just in buying land, just because of real estate prices in the Spring Hill area, just to get dirt to even be able to land apply that effluent to. And so that was before we put a single foot of pipe in the ground to serve it or connect anything like that. There's not one big giant piece of property that works for that. And so as we were talking with the state, that just didn't seem like the best use of our ratepayers' money, our taxpayers' money. And ultimately, what we landed on was this idea of building essentially a reservoir. And so right now, if you look at the systems in Spring Hill, our water plant is tied directly to our intake on the Duck River. And so the water that we pull out of the duck, we send it right over to the water plant, we treat it in the water plant, we put it in the system. What the reservoir does is it gives Spring Hill some much needed resiliency over time. It allows us to have a facility that could store at least 200 million gallons a day. And really what that would do is that becomes a primary water supply for Spring Hill. We expect, because of the challenges, particularly on the environmental side and from a regulatory standpoint with protecting the Duck River, that there will be times during drought where we get orders from the state in the future that say, hey, the water level in the duck has gotten too low, you've got to turn off your raw water intake. So we know that now. We've got to plan for that now. That scenario is eventually going to happen. So what do you do? Well, we can't turn around and just tell the community, hey, you know what, we're going to need you to hold off on taking showers for a week or two, and if you all could just do that, that'd be great. Like, that's not realistic. What this project does is it allows us to run off the reservoir. So if we turn off the intake, we've still got 200 million gallons in that reservoir that we work with, and we can start drawing down off the reservoir. So there's a water component to it in terms of drought resiliency that gives Spring Hill a lot of resiliency no matter what kind of drought situation may come in the future. And it allows us to provide water to our citizens in a way that the environmentalists are very happy as well. So it's a very nice compromise on that front. On the wastewater side, it also serves a function, and that's where the advanced purification part comes in. So basically, we will take the effluent that above 5, so that extra 5 that we don't have any place to put it, we're going to run it through this advanced purification process. It's going to take it to almost a drinking water standard. That water that comes out of it, it'll be cleaner than the water coming out of the Duck River. And then we're going to send that to the reservoir, and we're going to blend it in the reservoir. And then that will come to the water treatment plant and then ultimately be treated again and go into the system. So technical terms are used to refer, they're oftentimes referred to as indirect reuse because we're not directly piping it in. We have an environmental buffer, which is this large reservoir. The city about a month and a half, 2 months ago, closed on a piece of property. So we now have about 150 plus acres to work with for the reservoir system. And not only did we buy that property to put this reservoir system on, it also took an entitled development off the table that was about 1,200 residential units. So by using some strategic fund balance, we both have secured our future to build this facility, as well as taking a significant amount of pressure off of our sewer plant. So we're really excited. The state's really been great to work with, and really hope to continue leading the state with this effort.
A couple of things about this that I always like pointing out. I mean, what we're talking about doing is already what's occurring in the river naturally, right? City of Lewisburg and all Marshall County, they put their discharge in the river upstream from Spring Hill. We're already blending treated water. Now we're talking about treating it a second time, putting it in a controlled environment and pulling it back out. This is already occurring. Water reuse and reclamation has been occurring in this country since as far back as the 1960s. You know, Virginia has been doing this since 1972. So we're not talking about anything new in this country. It's new to Tennessee. State of Florida, state of Texas, they've got over 200 utilities running similar systems to this. So again, while this is new to Tennessee, this is not new, and this is not a solution that you find out west in arid climates. You're finding it in wet states like Florida as well.
Question for Carter. You're from Wyoming. It's kind of a dry place, isn't it?
Yes.
Is this something that's done out there commonly?
Advanced purification is not something that's done out there commonly. And so this will be a fun project for me to get my hands in and get involved in, absolutely.
Thought you might be able to tell us how the public reception to something like this is.
I think Louisiana just went over their 80th. 10 years ago, Louisiana didn't have any. I think there are over 80 utilities operating. Louisiana's wet. This isn't just a dry state thing.
One thing that you might not catch from just reading the media or might overlook is that you're going to treat the water before you put it in the reservoir.
Correct. Twice.
Yeah. So that's
I don't know if the next slide shows some of the steps. So I mean, this is Dan's slide. I don't understand what all these things mean, but this is chemical, physical barriers, UV light, maybe some magic.
Yes, there's a little bit of wizardry. It's a carbon-based treatment train is how we refer to it. And like I said earlier, it will treat the water to a higher standard than what's currently coming out of the duct. And I think that's really important because as we work with the state and we have to help develop a regulatory framework for this in Tennessee as well. One of the discussions that we're having is what level of treatment do you take the water to? And lots of different states have varying degrees that they go to. If you look at the California model, they take it to a very, very, very extreme. And so if you were just say, hey, we'll go adopt the California model, why wouldn't you just go do that? Well, it's because it's very expensive. I think just from a common sense standpoint, if the water in the duct is already good enough to draw out of it and send to our plant and treat it and then put it into our system, can we not characterize that and quantify that and set that as the standard that we then treat to on these systems? We don't have to get crazy with this. There's some common sense thinking that we can put into place that makes sense to regulate it and allow it to go forward. So the benefit of this carbon-based system is if you really dig in and research it, there's some reverse osmosis-based systems that you'll hear about more out west. And some of the issues that we have with those is that they have some byproducts that have to have some extra treatment, things like that, whereas this carbon-based system seems to be much more ideally suited to our water, our geology, our hydraulics, our area.
Moratorium, if I understood it right, is for about a year.
No, it'll be longer than that. So the moratorium the connection moratorium will remain in place until we can move public works, build the advanced purification plant, build the expanded sewer plant, build the expanded water plant, build the reservoir, connect all the pipes in between it. So there's a lot of work. This pilot part of the process, we've agreed with TDEC that it's going to be a 12-month pilot. So we're going to have 12 months worth of data knowing this is safe before we go start the building of the advanced purification plant itself, the reservoir and the pipes connecting them. So I'm not going to guess on timelines, but it's it's longer than a year.
It's also important to note that, usually when we hear the word moratorium, we just automatically assume full shutdown. If you look at the actual order that we agreed to, that's not what the order says at all. You got a little light reading before bed, right? Because we've been transparent and open and we've gone and just worked with the state on the front end of this, we haven't hidden from any of this. The first step to solving a problem is admitting that you have one in the first place. And I commend our board for taking that head on and doing that. That's put us in position with the state where we've regained a lot of credibility. And so that consent order is not a full shutdown of economic activity in Spring Hill. The big multi-phase vested projects, they get to continue on. It's only new things coming in because we've done enough work and we've done enough planning to know that we've allocated all the remaining capacity. So our big ticket projects can still proceed forward, and we're going to go as quick as we can on these programs to try and avoid any gap outs on it.
New projects do have the opportunity to do on-site solutions as well. I mean, we just saw a national retailer in front of the board Monday evening. It was this week, right? Monday evening, proposing an on-site solution. So they're an unvested, unapproved project, but bring it forward on site. And again, that's not anything new. I mean, that's how the town of Thompson Station does it. That's how the city of Fairview does a lot of things. So there's paths forward for development to continue. It's just not a new unvested project connecting to this public sewer.
Notice you passed the resolution or agreed to it or passed your version of it August 18th, I think, your August 18th meeting. Didn't go into effect till September 5th. Now, was there an avalanche of people trying to get in under the rug before the hammer came down? Or?
And look, we've been talking about this coming for several months now. I mean, certainly since April when post-election, we've clearly communicated to people this is coming. So that rush started several months ago. There's some people who somehow just found out about it last week, and they're a little late to the dance party. So,
one of the things that we did a little different on that, though, is that oftentimes when you see these stories in the paper from other cities in Middle Tennessee that have done things like this, it always seems to read to me that they've known about it, then maybe they've hit it a little bit, and then just like all of a sudden it sort of comes out right before a deadline and it drops on an agenda and bam, there's an ordinance to pass a moratorium. We literally did the exact opposite of that. We've been facilitating stakeholder meetings for almost a year, getting people ready, educating them, explaining what's going on, talking through the issues. And so most of our residential and our non-residential key stakeholders, including their investors, have been made well aware. We've been working with them on an individual basis, and they've been working on contingency plans for quite a while. The good news is, knock on wood, so far there have been no legal actions taken.
I'd like to leave some time for questions from the audience, but I've got about 10 more items I want to cover. So let's kind of go through those fairly quickly, a minute at a time. Matt?
Sure. Simple site showing where that future reservoir is going to be. That's Interstate 65 next to you. So at some point when you're driving down to the beach, you see a big 200 million gallon reservoir in Spring Hill. Now you know what it is. Hurt Road Park project. We purchased this parkland a little over a year ago without any clear ideas about what we were going to do with it. We had a private group come to us looking to fund construction of some soccer fields with their dollars. That's just north of that's Allendale Elementary School that you see. So we got a private group coming in to fund some public park facilities. And I would just want to talk real briefly about the Battle of Franklin Trust. That's Ripavilla that you see there on the screen. The Battle of Franklin really started as the Battle of Spring Hill the day before. So we've partnered with the Battle of Franklin Trust for I think 3.5 years now to manage the property, tell the story leading into the Battle of Franklin. And we're just real excited because they've recently closed on an additional tract of battlefield land, and we've extended our relationship out with them for an additional 10 years. So I know everybody here knows that the Battle of Franklin Trust had a lot of success here for the past several decades, and we're excited for a long-term relationship with them in Spring Hill as well. I think that's it.
Plus, what's going on with GM and Altium? You hear that they're going to double the capacity of the plant, and then you hear that electric vehicles aren't selling, so nobody's doubling capacity anywhere. What's going on?
Yeah, so there's been two announcements come out of those organizations recently. Number one, the Cadillac line decided to cease production of the XT6, and GM's decided to replace that in Spring Hill with the gas-powered Chevy Blazer. So it's being manufactured in Mexico right now. I believe it'll be up here in late 26 or early 27. So that'll replace that vehicle line. And then the battery plant, just 2-3 weeks ago, they made an announcement that there is I'm going to get some of the terms wrong, but there's a cheaper version of their battery that's made out of fewer rare earth materials. So it's more reasonably price point, and they're going to start producing those batteries in Spring Hill as well. So, capital investments as far as retooling the lines, but it's not much in terms of job creation because it's replacing an existing vehicle and shifting production a little bit.
And I'll add one thing to that. I got the opportunity to tour GM with the group a couple of months ago. One of the things that I was struck by is their assembly line actually has the ability to, on the fly, switch from gas-powered to electric-powered production. You see both of those vehicles going down the same line. So the way that they've established things is really impressive because they can respond to market demand based on that.
It is their largest plant in North America. Something like 75% of the engines that they put in trucks and SUVs are manufactured there. So even without the vehicle lines, there's a lot of activity going on there.
Airport. Tell us about the airport that is being discussed. I guess that's east of I-65 and south of Saturn Parkway. Is that correct?
Yeah, so not a new discussion. I mean, there was a desire for a Williamson County Airport, back in 2014 when I was first thinking about running for alderman. BNA is very focused on passenger travel. John Toon is at capacity. TDOT Aeronautics, I know we think of TDOT as roads, but aeronautics is transportation as well. They put out a systems report back in 2020 that basically said Oak Ridge and South Williamson County are the two areas in the state that would benefit the most, and the system would benefit the most from a general aviation airport. You look at some of the business jet traffic that's going in and out of BNA, a lot of those travelers are ending up in Maryland Farms and Cool Springs and Williamson County where the business activity is occurring. So a lot of business interest in bringing a business jet solution to Williamson County closer to where the travelers are headed. We do have a site east of I-65 that's got 250 acres reserved for a private airport. Again, this is one of those things where if it was easy, it'd already be built. I mean, people have been talking about this for 10 plus years. If it is constructed, it'll be a private airport constructed with private dollars. We certainly would anticipate it benefiting not just Spring Hill, but all of Williamson County and all of Middle Tennessee, since it would open up a lot of the business travel that's getting more and more difficult with BNA and John Toon and the condition they're in.
So I know at one time there was a rumor that went around that Saturn Parkway would then be extended over to Lewisburg Pike, 431, as maybe a part of that process. Is that dead on arrival?
No, I think the private development and the various agencies at the state are looking at that as an opportunity, and several others as well. So, again, if this was easy, it'd be done already. So.
What about June Lake? The traffic on I-65 between Saturn Parkway and 840. Is there any hope of ever getting that maybe smoothed out a little bit?
Trent, you want
I'll take
that?
that one. Yeah. So obviously, traffic on 65 heading north into Franklin is nothing new for Spring Hill residents. Now, June Lake has added an element that's added to the traffic concerns there. And one of the things that we recognize is that it takes that regional collaboration to move those things forward, right? So we put together a resolution that our board passed, but then we also had passed by the City of Thompson Station, City of Columbia, Murray County, and Williamson County. All of those entities passed that resolution unanimously, and it was calling on TDOT to move forward the 65 widening, starting from 840 all the way down to Bear Creek Pipe in Columbia. And so obviously those things take time. TDOT and what's called the GNRC, Greater Nashville Regional Council, they're currently going through a process where they're updating their medium to long-term planning. And we said, we're basically saying, we want that to be right at the top of the list because we absolutely agree that has to be a priority for Spring Hill, South Williamson County, and Murray County to thrive.
Chicken laws. It looks like you've passed sexual discrimination against roosters in the city of Spring Hill.
I think we had that on the books already, didn't we?
Yeah,
Tell us about that, Matt.
I don't even know what to tell you.
Learned more about chickens in the past month than I ever knew, and the collective, 35 years before that.
We had an existing ordinance, that allowed for backyard hens, and I never thought twice about it. I mean, most neighborhoods in Spring Hill have an HOA, and the HOA outlaws the chickens anyway, so you don't worry about it, right? But there was one alderman who thought it was a good idea that, the couple of neighborhoods that didn't have HOAs and have larger pieces of property, and, they need more chickens. So we somehow ended up spending way too much time talking about what the right number of backyard chickens is. And I don't know what we landed on. It's now more than 4, but it's less than 1,000, so we did something, yeah.
I can't stop laughing that we kept using the term performance standards for chickens. That's not one I ever saw coming.
Do they have to lay 1 egg a day to stay or something?
That's right, yeah. You don't put
Great.
out, you're out, right? So.
Mary Beth, where did Rick? There he is. I couldn't find him there for a minute. Rick, okay, drawing a blank now. Graham, thank you.
Thank you.
Former mayor of Spring Hill.
Recovering mayor.
You were mayor for how long?
8 years.
And
That's right.
have you got any advice for the new mayor there now?
Oh, no. Well, Matt hears from me quite often, so any advice I have. I do want to say, though, this current election and the new alderman, this group is sitting up there, and I have so much confidence in this new board. I believe it's a new day for Spring Hill since April, and I'm real proud of what they've already hit the ground running and already made some tough decisions, and also couldn't be happier.
Good. Any specific things that they need to do?
Well, they're focused on the right things. It's always a balancing act. I was talking to Matt yesterday, and being mayor is like a juggling act with you got plates on every finger and toe, and one gets wobbly, you run over and spin that one, and you do this one. So it's a juggling act, and when you've got a growing city like Spring Hill, it's going to be that way.
Right. Well, stay with him. Keep him afloat. We got time for a question or two. Is anybody, Kel, you're going to have to ask one if nobody else raises their hand here pretty quick. But Tom Lawrence always has one. Well, young lady, we will open the floor to you then. Tell us who you are and ask a question.
Good morning. I'm Kelly Mayo with the Williamson Herald. On the, oh goodness, I've already forgotten the name. The Burke Road with the soccer fields you mentioned a few minutes ago. Do you have a timetable for when that might be completed?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Kelly. No is the short answer. where we're at with the process, the organization we're partnering with is King's Hammer. They're located out of Ohio. They run similar programs in Florida, Ohio. They got a program in Murfreesboro. You know, they wanted some assurances from the city that we were interested in participating in something before they spent a lot of money on design and engineering work and putting together grading plans. So we've basically got a year period now for them to go do some diligence and make sure this works for them before any kind of construction improvements would occur.
Tom Lawrence always has a curveball for our guest. Tom, go ahead.
I'm a Spring Hill taxpayer. Okay. And it's getting more expensive to live in Spring Hill these days, but not nearly like it is in Franklin or a little farther. The only thing I'm concerned about anymore, I know taxes are going to go up. I know water bill is going to go up. But what concerns me is that I'm a former city judge. Spring Hill appears to be a violent place now. Is that the news media or is that the fact?
Well, I wouldn't characterize it as a violent place, Tom. You know, we've had a couple of incidents recently. We did have a homicide within the past couple of weeks where our police department did apprehend a person of interest who's, you know, going to be indicted within 2 days. So, you know, unfortunately, I think you're going to have varying levels of crime in every community, but I feel very good that we're investing in our public safety infrastructure like we talked about, and you know, not just physical buildings, but people and tools as well, and they were able to resolve open cases very, very quickly.
Quiet crowd this morning. And I'm out of practice. We had a 2-month recess, and I ran out of questions before the hour's up. But Creed tells me that's not a problem if we wind it up. Go ahead, Jeff. Let me get to you. But hold on. Got
moving as fast as you usually do, man. You're out of practice. How do y'all feel about just the system in Tennessee broadly and for local governments to be able to raise the revenue you need to be able to invest in infrastructure to support the growth? Because we see the good in the growth, but it brings the infrastructure challenges that you've been talking about today. Do you have the tools under your existing mechanisms to raise money to build that infrastructure?
I'd like more tools. You know, I know Mayor Anderson has worked for a couple of years now to allow counties to recapture part of the transfer tax on real estate. You know, I'm real bullish on the infrastructure development districts that the legislature authorized here in the past couple of years. That's a tool that is now available, hasn't been used yet. You know, we're fortunate in Spring Hill. We have our adequate facility tax. We have the ability to create special districts. We've done some TIF financing on projects. We were able to collect impact fees. You know, because Tom's concerned about property taxes, we try to keep those as low as possible. You know, we're the lowest in Murray County, not the lowest in Williamson County, but we're the lowest in Murray County. And we have lowered our rates twice within the past 5 years when I was budget and finance chairman. So between that and the growth that we're seeing in June Lake and Legacy Point, you know, we feel good that we're going to be more sales tax oriented and less property tax oriented, which I think is the trend you see across the state and the activity that the General Assembly is trying to encourage as well. So go ahead.
One word to that. Specifically around road funding, some of these big projects like 3165 that are collaborative state projects, what we've heard statewide is that the TDOT funding model is something that's a real challenge around our road system, and because we're seeing, you know, projects like June Lake where the need is clear. But what we've heard is there's a big queue of projects that need to be done where there's only so much funding to get to those projects. And I know that, you know, Williamson Eeks worked on a project with Mayor Anderson to recapture some of that revenue to go directly towards road funding. TDOT had a road funding proposal that was considered last cycle of the state, and I think is up for consideration again. So I think that is something I think needs to be revisited, because with all of the growth, the growth-oriented policies that the state has, it's local governments are shouldering are looked at to shoulder a large portion of that.
Absolutely, right. So TDOT's been clear they expect more local participation to move projects forward, and you know, TDOT and the state elected officials also like champion that Tennessee has no road debt, and that's true at the state level. It's not true at all at the municipal level. You know, when Spring Hill wanted to accelerate the widening of Duplex Road, we agreed to buy the right of way. I'm still carrying $8 million worth of debt to widen a state road, but the state gets to say they don't have road debt, right? June Lake is similar. To build that interchange, we took on about $24 million worth of debt that Tom and the other Spring Hill taxpayers are going to pay for the next 20 years to build a TDOT project, but you hear TDOT in the state say, well, we don't have any road debt. Yeah, because it's all being borne locally.
Nope. Oh, now you got me. Hey, Kel McDowell for the camera's purposes. Want to start off with a compliment and a quick plug on your behalf, Mayor. You know, then Alderman and now Mayor Fitterer has an outstanding regular newsletter that goes out. Really breaks things down on the municipal level to give those explanations in more plain English, you know what I mean? Like to really kind of break down these complicated terms and the jargon that we always come across, and really want to applaud you on that one too. And you and I had got to talking before the program about your annual budget survey to really get those residents' pulse in terms of what they prioritize, what they would like to see, and what's important to them. So we're almost 2 months into this new fiscal year's budget. I would love to hear a little bit of color in terms of how this budget really reflects those priorities that were expressed by the residents, and any highlights that you'd really like to shine a light on as well.
Yeah, thank you, Kel. So I've done the budget survey for 9 years now, and consistently throughout the 9 years, you know, you hear we want roads, we want utilities, we want public safety. And like I said, this budget year, about 75%. You know, you go back a couple of years, we were as high as about 81%, those three things. I feel very good about those priorities. I feel very good that when our sales tax revenues exceed our property tax revenues, we've got an appropriate structure in place. And those things are consistent with what citizens want. You know, they want to see other things as well. They want to see, you know, some of the park projects accelerated. Well, we just talked about, you know, leveraging opportunities with private development on Hurt Road, and, you know, Battle of Franklin Trust preserving open space. You know, they want to see additional things around building a library. Well, we didn't touch on that, and I don't have an answer to that yet. But you know, when you look at a big picture, and you know, it's about 7,500 people who get my newsletter monthly. A lot of the messaging comes back. You know, our top priorities are roads, utilities, and public safety, and so we're going to stay focused on that as long as I'm mayor.
Good. We'll wind it up there. This has been a most informative session. We appreciate you gentlemen being here. Carter, welcome to Tennessee. Hope you you know, keep us out of trouble. Matt, keep on keeping on. You're doing a good job, it looks like. Trent,
Thanks for having us, Dave.
appreciate your insights into the infrastructure. And Dan, we want to learn more about reclamation, and we'll keep our ear to the ground on that. So thank you. Always thankful to Columbia State Community College, Mary Beth, Dr. Shane Hall, Bob all work hard to make this come together. The media partners we have, it wouldn't happen without Creed Henderson and his crew from WCTV, and Tom Lawrence and WAKM, and Williamson Herald team. We appreciate their help and their partnership. Got a couple of sponsors that kind of make a contribution to help make things go easier. And Brady Cannon over there at Vanderbilt University, I think it is. I get that wrong every time. They switched from medical, or from university to medical, and I'm still reaching back there. But Brady, we appreciate your help. AT&T is also a partner, and who's our contact there? Okay. And our most important person or entity involved in this is the line leadership group that supplies the coffee in the morning. They're our local McDonald's franchisees, and Terry Wimke is normally the deliverer. She was not able to do that this morning, so Kel, you get the kudos for that. But we appreciate what they do. Matt Largen back there in the corner is the quarterback of the Williamson Inc. staff, and he does a good job, and we appreciate the chamber giving me another contract to do this for another year here a while back, and enjoy doing it. Next time we get together will be September 26th. Our guest will be Nelson Andrews, the new mayor from the city of Brentwood, and look forward to having y'all back and learning, what's new and what's planned for Brentwood. So thank you very much for being here. Look forward to having you back.